Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is AutumnEmbersyt and today I am building a mini castle on the hill in the world of Henford on Bagley. Although in saying that, I did originally build this in the werewolves world, and I quickly moved it to Henford on Bagley because I quickly popped upstairs just to grab something. I left my game running and I came back downstairs and my mum was like, Laura, sorry, is there something wrong with your laptop? Is it broken? So whoa, no. Why do you think it's broken? And my mum just said, the lighting, it looks odd. Is your screen broken? So oh no, that's just the lighting in the world. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna move this lot to a world with better lighting. So that's why I moved it to Henford on Bagley. And the inspiration for this build is a picture that's on Pinterest. The picture in question wasn't a picture of a build with landscaping. It was landscaping with buildings on it, but the main focus of the picture was the landscaping, not the builds. And I was like, ooh, this is really pretty. It has sort of like cascading waterfalls. I love waterfalls. It has like a very foresty, whimsical look about it, and at the time I just really wanted to go out and about and go walking in the woods, and just seeing this picture sort of like itched that itch for me just a little bit. And so it's like, okay, let's go build this in the Sims 4. And first off, I was going to use the Discover University waterfalls because they have that really big long drop that was shown in the pictures. It's just they weren't really working out and they were a bit too blue for my liking. So I changed the waterfalls to the Island Living waterfalls. They are my favourite waterfalls to work with, and I was going to do like stacked waterfalls. So when I normally do stacked waterfalls, I tend to place the waterfall where I would like to be placed, drag up the land to the end of the waterfall, place some water into it, and then repeat that process. And I was about to go to do that, but then I saw a picture on Pinterest. I cannot remember the creator, but they just basically placed these island living waterfalls and stacked them on top of each other, and I was just like, well, that just looks great, and it's just so simple. Why the hell did I not think about that? Doi, it's just so simple. So that's what I decided to do instead. It was a very easy and simple to do. I did have to use the Twisted Mexi tool mod to achieve this look. I don't think I would be able to do it without it. It was just a bit of a pain to do because as soon as you let go of the waterfall, you have to find where you can click on it again, and the best way I found to do that was to use the hammer tool, sort of like hover it around the area where I think I can click on it again, and as soon as it lights up yellow, I just sort of like stare at that spot on the screen and then click on it to then move it with the tool mod. So this lot, I think it may be a 50 by 40 or 50 by 50. It's pretty big. It's definitely not a 64 by 64, but it's pretty big, and it required a lot of landscaping, including like putting down lots of bushes and trees and plants, lots of rocks, and it basically took me about a day and a half, so one full day and one half of a day. It took me so long, and even then I still had to put down a load more rocks. So it took me a very long while to do the landscaping, and I basically chose a good handful of bushes and flowers that I wanted to incorporate for this build and used it throughout the entire lot. I also went ahead and placed some trees off camera because I wanted to make it feel like you're like walking through the woods and you just stumbled upon a clearing in the woods, and this is what's in the clearing in the woods. And I wanted to have like lots of trees, so make it look like it's part of the forest, and just beyond this is more forest and woodland area. And I wanted there to be lots of trees, but also I didn't want the trees to obscure your view of the castle. And part of me, when I placed the trees and as I was decorating the castle, I was like, I really wish I hadn't placed the trees, because I was bouncing and booping all over the place and was really getting on my nerves, because it was happening more as I was decorating the bedrooms and the bathroom for this castle. And so I had to decorate a lot of the castle in the tea down view, bird's eye view. So that was a little bit annoying. And this build is a two bedroomed, 2.5 bathroom castle. So for the castle, I really had no idea what I wanted the castle to look like apart from, castle-y. So I instead looked to the Scooby-Doo Manor castle build that I was trying to build for Halloween of last year. But as for reasons that I went into in the Hamlet build, I decided not to go ahead and finish that lot. And I thought it was just such a shame. I did spend a lot of time building that Scooby-Doo build for it to never to be shown or seen. And so for this build, because I'm not too sure what I want the build to look like, let's just rip a section of that Scooby-Doo build off because it's so big, why not? And let's just place it on this lot here. Obviously, I did change the style and the look of the build slightly, because for the Scooby-Doo build, I wanted to have a prominent green and purple look because they are the colours of Scooby-Doo. One thing I noticed when I was doing the Scooby-Doo build, there is not a lot of exterior purple objects, which was a bit of a pain, and one of the reasons that contributed as to why that build never came out. But I thought, let's reuse this build so it now has a purpose, it's not going to waste, and I think it fits this lot very nicely. I did have to change like a few bits and pieces, like where the turret sat, because in the Scooby-Doo build, that build was very big and very long, and the turrets in that build were hanging off to the right, whereas I wanted the turret to be more encompassing. Is that the word? Am I just making something up? I don't know. But I wanted the turret to be more closer to the original build instead of like hanging out by itself towards the edge of the lot. I want it to be more together within the actual build. So yeah, I did move things a little bit about. Move things about a bit, there we go. So I did move things about a bit when building this, but the majority of the shape is a shape that I kind of ripped from the Scooby-Doo build. So I'm just glad that all the time that I spent building the Scooby-Doo Manor Castle thing, it's gonna be used. It's not gonna be forgotten about, it's gonna be used. So that's great. So for this castle, I decided not to go with the Scooby-Doo colours. I wanted to go for a bit more of a normal castle look to make it more castle-y. So I've gone for like predominantly stone on the outside, and I used some get-together cladding on some of the pop-out areas, but a lot of it is just stone. And I decided to use the werewolves roof tiles with like sort of like the moss and everything, just because I felt like that would make sense if your castle is one in a wooded area, two in a wooded area that has lots of waterfalls. So you've got two cascading waterfalls next to you, and then another waterfall just in front of you. I would expect it to be a little bit more damp in this area, so it would make sense to have moss on your roof line. So I decided to go for that. And also, when I was building this, I saw a lot of people using this roof texture on their builds, and I was like, okay, I want to do something that has this roof texture, and it just makes perfect sense for this build in my mind. There was this weird part of the build where it didn't make sense to put a roof bit onto it, so I just carved it up with some whirlpools, plant that drapes over. I love that plant. I used it absolutely everywhere in this build. I just love the fact that it drapes over, and it was particularly handy dandy in this build because there were lots of different terrain heights, and sometimes placing some rocks wasn't like it didn't look right to place a rock there. Kind of stuck out a bit too much, and so just placing that bush that drapes over was just perfect because it covered up that bit of soil that I wanted to cover up. Although in saying that, I didn't really want like every part of this build and terrain to be covered in rocks or flowers. I wanted some of the terrain to be exposed so you can see those different heights and levels of the build, or the landscape, sorry. So we are now inside doing the kitchen, and I really wasn't sure on how I wanted the kitchen to look like. So I decided to go to Google, this time not Pinterest, Google, because Pinterest wasn't helping me. So I went to Google and I decided to try and look up some actual Tudor manor houses that you would visit here in the UK. And I found one, I can't remember which one it was, but it was listed underneath the British Heritage site. And typically they're pretty good. If they say if their building is part of like this era, then it's typically what it is. So I found one, and I can't remember what I was looking at, but I saw some really pretty diamond, red and black diamond flooring. I was like, ooh, that's some nice diamond flooring you got there. I'm going to use that in my build for the kitchen area, and this solving what I was going to do for the flooring kind of solved what I was going to do for the rest of the kitchen. It kind of just sort of sorted itself out. Once I figured out one part, the other bits and pieces sort of like followed in line. So for this kitchen flooring, I decided to filter by colours, and black coloured tiles was a very easy find. I decided to use the Desert Luxe kit, and I used their stone tiles quite a bit throughout this build. I just think they're like really good and great tiles, go tiles. But for the red tiles, I had a little bit more problems trying to find like a good red tile, because a lot of the red tiles, they're not a strong enough red to hold up against the very jet black tile. And the only colour red tiles that I found that did stand up was the Get Famous tiles. Now the Get Famous tiles have gold grouting in them, which is a bit of a bummer, but I decided to go with them anyways because they are the ones that look best against the black, and I decided to overlook the gold grouting. But yes, it does look a little bit funny, I do admit that, but apart from the weird gold grouting, I think it looks great. And I do use this black and red tiling not only in the kitchen dining area, but I also use it upstairs in the hallway section. So for this build, I really wanted to go for a very Tudor heavy look with some neo-gothic inspired pieces and stuff like that. I also wanted this build to be slightly modern, has some modern elements to it, which is why I went for this table, which is more for like a table where you would use bar stools instead of like actual dining chairs. I just wait for that table because it had that Tudor look that I was going for. It just so happened to be like a high table. So I decided to use more modern looking chairs instead. I also wanted to incorporate other world influence styles into this build as well, because as I was looking through some more pictures, I saw some like stone arches in some Tudor buildings, and they kind of look like those stone arches from what's it called, the Oasis Courtyard Oasis kit. And so I decided to use more of those styled items in my build, just to do something a little bit different to what I would normally do. Also, so here what I'm doing with the windows, I'm not just sticking windows into a column. There are mirrors inserted inside the walls. So this is something I wanted to do for quite some time. Again, this is something I saw being done on not Pinterest, Instagram first. It was part of my Instagram reel that I was watching, where they inserted a mirror into the wall, then put in a window. So now it looks like one of those fancy courtyard windows. No, sorry, mirrors. It looks like one of those fancy courtyard mirrors. And I just wanted to do something different. So, and it's something I really wanted to do for like a really long time. It's just a problem with those, like that mirror trick, you have to have a double wall to do it. And I had one, so why not? So this is the living room, and you might have noticed the fireplace. This is a fireplace that I have built and constructed myself. I first saw this being done by the same Scrolls in the Slytherin Common Room build, which is part of our Hogwarts series, which is, that entire series is absolutely fantastic. The amount of detail and work that goes in that build is like amazing. And in the Slytherin Common Room build, we saw her put together this fireplace made out of gravestones. And my phone, I'm just going to ignore it. So I decided to make my own fireplace out of gravestones, because I really didn't want the suburban looking fireplaces. I don't think one of those fireplaces would have suited this living space or this mini castle. I wanted a really grand stone fireplace that you would typically see in a Tudor neo-Gothic house or castle. And so that's what I decided to do. Because I built this fireplace off screen, I decided to put another fireplace upstairs in the study. Just because I wanted to show you how I did it. And so yeah, that's what I did. I did copy all of the stones and all the angles that I did for that fireplace, and just basically copied it and moved it upstairs. But you do see me put it all together. I just thought it would be quicker and easier for both of us if I just copy the angles instead of doing all the angles again. So this is the stone fireplace for the study area. We don't have the archway, the vampire's archway, because that would meant it would have poked through the ceiling for the downstairs area, and that would not look good. So I decided just to go for a bit more simple look, just to finish it off. We also don't have the crest, maybe because I forgot to put it there, but then I was like, or perhaps the one downstairs, that's the main one, and this is just like an extra bonus one. But this is where I'm going to leave you, because there's not much to say else about this build, apart from the fact for the bedroom I think we'd be moving on to next, it is quite modern. That's because when I got up to the upstairs and to do the bedrooms, I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to look at this lovely wooden cladding anymore. I want to look at something different. So I decided to go a bit more modern, and I was inspired by a picture that was on Pinterest that intertwined, that's my phone again, intertwined the modern and Tudor look together. And so that's what I decided to do. I'm gonna go answer the phone, and I will see you in the next one. So thank you and goodbye.